Ravi, can you please type in the login ID password? I think login must be here. You can just give the password. You will come across these kind of situations where you have to decide whether you need a pick list or you need a different object. Okay, so creating an object is a solution that's there as a solution, but what we have to see is, do we actually need an object? Okay, so when we say that do we need an object, we mean that how much data for that particular thing we need to store. So when we are talking about a course, do we need to store multiple fields for course, like the course name, course description, this, that? If you need multiple fields, then you need an object. If you just need to store the names, then pick list is okay. Getting my point? So I would not go with a separate object just for the sake of storing the names of the courses. Correct. So I would not rather want to create a separate object for only the objects. Sorry, for only the course names. So I create a different table and I just store Hadoop, Java, these things. That will not, that is something which is not required at all. You can definitely do that, but that would not be required. So you have to see this. Okay, depending on the client requirement. Sometimes the client might say that, okay, fine, while we are tracking the courses, we track everything about that. That what is the content of the course, how much time does it take, this, that, all that stuff. But what I am understanding from this scenario, that since this is a consultancy company or this is a staffing company, they might not track that much details of the courses, okay, of the technology and the details and all that stuff. That might not be something that they would want to store that much in details. Had it been a training company, then courses we definitely could have had a separate object. Got it? Now coming to the pick list. So pick list, because this is a staffing company and they might not want to store that much of details, pick list is something which we can think of. It's recommended. Okay. Now when you take the pick list approach, the other thing that Ravi was talking about, that under Java you can have core Java, advanced Java, something like that. Okay, multiple. So what we can do is we can try and make it into two different pick lists. Okay, one can be technology, the other can be the training. So which technology, what training is the consultant taking? All right. So let's include this. Okay. So let me just go and add it here.
Jeet. Yeah, wouldn't it be better if we make it a multi-pick list so we can add multiple trainings for one consultant if it is required?
Multi-pick list. Okay, I'll come to that multi-pick list thing.
Okay.
Actually, there's a bit of change which will happen in the data structure here as well. Let's work on this technology and training thing, and then we'll come to that part. Okay, so this is going to be a pick list, and this training is going to be a dependent pick list. So this will be dependent on the technology. If it's Hadoop, it should only show the options available under Hadoop. So let's go and add it first, and then we'll see how it works. So we will use a field dependency here. I'll show you how this field dependency will work. No, it's training object, right? So first one is going to be a pick list for technology. Let's say Salesforce, Hadoop, and we have Java. Okay. Okay, so this is one pick list. The other pick list that I'm going to add is for the trainings, actually the subcategories. So let me take a pick list, go to next. And make it training, or you can call it modules, as the way you want. So Ravi, you are saying that this module should be a multi-pick list so that we can select multiple of them. That's also option. Definitely that can also be done. So instead of let's say we have Salesforce administrator, then Salesforce developer, and then Salesforce consultant. So what Ravi is saying, that instead of making it just a pick list, if we make it multi-pick list, there can be a few consultants who are looking for two trainings, admin and development both. So that can happen. Yeah, that's doable. That should not be a problem. We can do that. So let's say these are the different modules. Okay, so I have different modules of Salesforce, Hadoop, Java, whatever, and then I save this. Save. So my technology and the modules is done. Now once I go to the training and try to enter a record, I see both these fields, both the pick lists available. The moment you click on technology, select Salesforce as a technology, now you try to click on the modules, you'll see all the modules under Salesforce, okay, which you do not want. You just want to see only these three modules under Salesforce, right? That is how it should be. Once I select Hadoop, I should only get to see the modules which are under Hadoop. That is the reason why I have created two fields. Okay. Now my list of modules is small. The technologies listed here is also not very big list. So it's still manageable. Let's say there are 100 options under modules, then it will become very difficult for the end user to select. So for that reason, what we'll need to do, we'll need to add a field dependency and make modules dependent on technology, which means when the end user selects a technology, he only gets the modules which are under that particular technology. He only gets the modules which are under that technology. Okay, so we'll have to add a field dependency. So let's just go ahead and put a field dependency here. Let's just go to the setup again, setup, create objects, training object. And add a new field dependency. Okay, just beside where you add the fields, just click on field dependency and click on new. Technology is the controlling field, modules is the dependent field. That's it. Click on continue. So now this is where you define the dependencies. What all values we want under technology? This. Okay, so under Salesforce these 3 values we want to include, under Hadoop these 2 values we want to include, and under Java these 2 values we want to include. Okay, I have not put anything specific to Android, so let's skip that part. Okay, select the values. How am I selecting multiple values? By pressing Control. Okay, press Control and click, that will get selected. So that's written here as well. Use Control and click to select multiple cells. And just click on include values, right? Now these 3 values have got included. See, this color are the included values. So these 3 have got included under Salesforce, these 2 included under Hadoop, and these 2 included under Java. That's it. So your dependency is defined. Click on save. Okay, save it. Now when I go to training, first of all the user will select technology, then he will select the module. Got it? So this is how you can control things. It could have been a different thing as well. If you have too many values, you could have had 3 dependent pick lists also. Okay, sorry, 3 pick lists and 2 of them can be dependents, right? For example, if your company is dealing in multiple countries, so you can have the country and then the state and then the city. Or if it is dealing in different regions also, so you can have regions, alright, and then country. I'm just giving an example for you for a dependent pick list. It has got nothing to do with our training object as such. So you can have regions, and then there can be countries under the region, then there can be states under the countries, and then there can be cities, right? So this is how we can go about things.
Jeet, actually I tried doing that for country and state, but I couldn't on the consultant tab. I mean, I searched on the internet and I added those country and state pick lists.
Now you can do it, no?
Yeah, that is manually entered. But I wanted to have the database of all the countries and states.
So you have to enter manually only. database of all the countries, you just go to any website and copy that. List of all countries. Pick list is something which is not connected to anything, right? So list of all countries. Okay. From somewhere you have to take all the countries list. Copy.
I mean, isn't
Salesforce does not have any such option.
okay?
Fine.
I mean, not
Copy
through
this
that
entire thing.
data loader or data import.
Data loader, data input values you have to provide, right?
Okay.
Basically what? Values you have to provide. You, how many countries you want to use or which all countries you want to use, that is something that you have to say. So best way is copy this entire stuff.
But I will have to map all these countries with the
Yes.
respective states,
Yes.
like you did for training.
Yes, you have to do. There can be easier approaches for that, but you have to do that. So countries and the states and cities. So there is, nothing, because this is a pick list, okay? If it had been different objects, then there was an option of using things through data load. Because in data load, every country's, in an object, every country will be referred to as a record. Here it's not being referred as a record. You can map record with the record. But here it is all metadata, it's not actual data, right? So metadata information you have to put, and you have to manually do that mapping part. Okay. Now, yeah, we do have options of doing that. We can take a bit of help from Excel spreadsheet so that things become a little easier for us, but we have to do it. That. Okay, so we clear on this?
Yeah.
Please let me know if there is any question. Okay, so that's good. Now let's come back to the data model, and then there is one more thing. Since we are talking about a particular training program which is happening, which has a specific start date and end date and actual end date and all these things, and technology also. Now, don't you think that sometimes it may happen that there are multiple consultants attending the same training? There is a possibility, right? That there can be multiple consultants who are attending the same training. All right. Like there are four consultants who are attending the same training. Now when I create consultant as a lookup, what I am able to do, I am just able to connect this training program with one consultant. Through a lookup I can connect it only to one consultant, right? But my requirement is different. One training can have multiple consultants. Okay. So this has to be a one-to-many relationship between a training and consultant. Got that? At the same time, so that is one requirement that I have. I have a requirement, one training can have multiple consultants attending that. And at the same time, I also want one consultant should also be able to attend multiple trainings. So if there is a consultant who he has once attended a Hadoop training and now his project is changing, he wants a training on Salesforce. That should also be possible, right? After a year, he wants a training on Salesforce, or he has attended a module on Salesforce admin. Now he wants to attend Salesforce development. He should have that option available as well, right? So now what we want to do, we want to have another connectivity where one consultant can attend multiple trainings as well. That is also what we need. Okay, so in that case what we have to do, we have to create a junction object. So this is called a many-to-many relationship basically. It's called a many-to-many relationship. Hello? Yeah.
Yeah, when initially I said to make course a separate object, that this is what I was talking about. Like
Right.
to have one object, a consultant, and one course, and training should be a junction object.
You're right. So basically, here what we are doing, we are making a training program as an object, consultant and as an object, and a trainee as a junction object there. Fine. So
Okay.
we did not create one more for course because we don't need that much of details for the course. Fine. But again, if we are designing a CRM for a training company, then exactly the way you said that there will be a course and then there will be a training program which will be child of the course and then there will be a junction object. Okay. So attendees should be connected to the training program and not to the course basically. Got it? So, okay. So now there is a many-to-many relationship. What is this many-to-many relationship thing? Many-to-many is that one consultant should be connected to multiple trainings if required. One training should be connected to multiple consultants if required. So here you cannot find out which is the parent, which is the child. Can you think of which is parent, which is child here? This is not required actually. So can you tell me which is parent, which is child? None of them is parent, right? Neither consultant nor the trainings, because here we have a many-to-many relationship. So to define that many-to-many relationship, we will need another object which is called a junction object. Okay, so junction object is basically just a concept, so it's going to be the same kind of an object, just that the other object that we create is going to be a child of both these parent objects. So there is a many-to-many between consultant and training. So we cannot directly go and define a many-to-many relationship. So that is the reason why what we'll do, we'll create a junction object. Junction object, when I say, I mean an object which is a child of both. Fine, so we'll create a third object and make it child of both consultant as well as training. Okay. Now because that is a common child, then through that child object, these two objects will be related. So we'll not create a relationship field here. We'll create a junction object, make it a child of both parent objects, both consultant and training, and through that child, both these objects are going to be related. Got it? Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me call the junction object as a trainee or an attendee. Okay. So junction object is a normal object. There is nothing special about it. Just that the name junction object I am using because it's connector between these two objects. So you can give it any name, attendee. So attendee should be connected to consultant and should be connected to a training program. Okay, so these two fields should be there, the consultant and the training program, and you can have an ID for the attendee. Okay, and apart from this, Yeah, that's it. Okay, now this consultant field that we have here is a relationship with consultant object. Training field that we have is a relationship with the training object. So basically this becomes a child of both these, consultant as well as training. Okay, and through using this object, consultant and training can be connected. All right, so now let's go and create this junction object and see how it works. A new object we have to add. It's going to be a normal custom object that we have to add, and we will call it attendee as we talked. And the first field, let's make it attendee ID and use an auto number here instead of using a text. All right, so I've made it an auto number. Click on save. Okay, so I've created the junction object. Now as I told you, there should be two fields at least there. One should connect it to the consultant, the other should connect it with the technology or the training program. Connect it relate this to consultant first. Now connect it with the training program. Alright, so I have created both the relationship fields here. Now I successfully made it a child of consultant as well as training. Now if you go to the consultants, click on new consultant, or if you have an existing consultant, no, we don't have. Oh, I'm not filling all this information. Let's just save it. Okay. So what you can do here is you can add attendee here. Okay. Click on new attendee, and when you add an attendee, you can put him under a training program. So Ravi has enrolled for this training program. He is an attendee for this, right? So now under a training program, you can see multiple attendees. See, under the training, you can see multiple attendees here. If you want new attendee, you can add. This can be some other person. We just have one consultant right now, but we can have multiple more of them. Got it? So see, A001 is attending the training program, A002. So once you come to the training program, you will get to see a list of consultants who are attending this. Once you go to the consultants, you can see the list of training programs that the consultant has enrolled for. Fine. Clear on this? Please let me know if you have any questions here. So this is how we are going to deal with these kind of relationships, the many-to-many relationship. So anyone has a question on many-to-many? So it's a very simple concept. You have to connect two objects many-to-many, and for that what we have done, we have made one object as the parent of the other. So that is what we have done.
Okay.
Right. So everyone is all right with that part. Now coming back to our data model, do you think there is a requirement for having more objects on this, or this is kind of okay? As I told you yesterday that you guys can come up with your own thoughts or more requirements. Do you think we need anything else apart from this in this kind of an application? Any more objects that you think will be required? Projects will be there, start date and all that stuff. Yeah. Anything else in terms of consultant management? Or you guys can
marketing.
All right. So what I want you to do is once you go back, try to expand this data model, add more objects the way you want, and work on that part. Okay. Now if it's your individual app, you start working on what you want to add. You want to add marketing, payroll, the way you want to add. Start thinking on those lines. Fine. This exercise is very important because you also need to develop concepts. Transaction wise, what we are looking at here is transaction wise, Salesforce is not that difficult. It has provided us the platform, and doing everything is so easy, right? I think 3 sessions or 4 sessions, whatever you have done. So these 4 or 5 sessions, you are able to design a complete app for a company or for a business, right? So that way, it's a technology which is not very difficult, right? But the point is, we are not focusing more on the transaction side. So creating an object was never part of this training. Okay, the main thing that we are learning in this training program is what object should be created, what should not be created, how it should be created, that sort of stuff, right? Going and clicking on setup, create object and create a new custom object, that is something which everyone can do, right? So I want you guys to think a little more towards the concepts, okay? How it will be related with the other thing, how I can manage that thing. So, and these concepts will come more, you think on things on your own, right? So I think whatever data model we have at this point of time, this is what we discussed yesterday. Try to expand it, try to work a little more on this and add more objects into this. Okay, so once I think a couple of days you will have time to work on this, and once we are able to freeze on a certain data model for this, we'll take up one more scenario and then we'll start discussing about that, right? But because we will be discussing about other topics, so during our session time we will spend time discussing our own topics and all. We'll quickly have a check on if you have any updates every day, and based on whatever updates you have, we'll make a few changes on the data model, or I will recommend certain things, and the rest of the time we're gonna spend on discussing more topics, because we are left with a lot of other topics. It's not just about creating the data model and leaving it, right? So there is a lot more which can be done on this. So we'll get into that part, but parallelly, when you guys are practicing, I want you to keep on working on some sort of data model. Scenario based learning is the best thing. There's something which will be very helpful for your interviews as well as when you go and work in the company. All right. Okay, good. So that is the other part. Now, any other questions that you guys have? I mean, I'll have to start the other topics on the data management thing. I'm planning to start that tomorrow, because today we are not left with too much of time. But if you have any other questions on this data model thing, or you have any other suggestions that you want to discuss, you can quickly discuss. In the meanwhile, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the recorded things with you. The recordings are there online, and I'm going to share that with you all. Yeah.
Jeet, for that many-to-many relationships, you created master detail relationship.
Mm-hmm. And you can create lookup also.
Yeah, but with lookup, can we create many-to-many relationship, or master detail is the only way?
No, with lookup also it can be created. It can be created with lookup also. No problem. It will work the same way. See, basically what we are doing is we are making the junction object as a child of both the parent objects. Now you make it through master detail, you make it through lookup, that's absolutely fine, no problem. Right? So ultimately what is happening, the consultant is connected to the attendee, and this attendee then is connected to the training. So that ways they are getting connected. So this can happen through lookup or master detail. There will not be any problem.
Okay.
Okay. So that is one thing, and right. So I'm going to send you an email with the recorded sessions. Okay. Including the one that we did today.